Hello, my name is Diana, and I would like to invite you on a journey today back 60 years until when I was a 16-year-old studying for my Scottish Leaving Certificate at Coatbridge High School. In those days, religious education was a compulsory subject, and it was in one of those classes that my story begins. I was sitting in the back row, which was my custom, and it had come to my turn to stand up and to recite the verses that had been set for homework from the Gospel of St. John. I stood up, but I did not recite those verses. Instead, this is what I said. What is the point in believing in God? What is the point in learning all these useless verses from the Bible? I would be much better spending time on my French and my Latin and my German. And, just so you know, my mother died when I was 9, and last week my granddad died too. So there. I sat down. The boy next to me stood up and began to recite his verses. Then the next one, and so it went on until the end of class. My little protest had gone unnoticed. But telling you today serves to give you a little insight into what was going on in my 16-year-old mind. It was being bombarded by unwanted and disruptive and disturbing thoughts that I could do absolutely nothing about. I just could not stop them. At the same time, I was trying to be a normal, whatever that means, teenager. I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally, and I was really struggling. A few months later, I found myself in a church in Glasgow. I'd been invited by a friend. I'd been to church before, but usually just to have a sense of duty. But this was different. For some unfathomable reason, I really wanted to be there. And it was during the singing of one of the songs that these words caught into my head. I heard the voice of Jesus say, "Come unto me and rest." I knew the music must have moved on, but those words just kept going round and round and round in my head. I heard the voice of Jesus say, "Come unto me and rest." And as they sank deeper down into my conscious understanding, I began to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, that there was something true about these words. That even there might be hope, a desperate hope I felt, that I could find rest for my troubled mind. I didn't hesitate. I launched myself into the care of someone I had never even met, this Jesus. And he gave me peace. I can't explain it. There is a verse in the Bible that talks about peace that passes all understanding. And that's what it was like for me. My journey getting to know God and Jesus had begun. In the time that has passed since then until now, I have learnt more about this peace. I have learned that it is something that I can lose easily if I allow my mind to be filled with anxious, negative, fearful thoughts. But I've also found that it can easily and quickly be restored if I turn to Jesus and ask for help, as I did that first day, and put into practice the things that I have learnt from the Bible to help us order our minds. There is a verse in the Bible that says, in Romans, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." God knew that we would have trouble with our thinking. And that's why there are so many helpful things there, so much advice to help us to order our minds so that we can be transformed. This is a lifestyle that I have adopted, me and Jesus. We work together, and it really, really does work. All those years ago, in that classroom, I thought and stated that God was irrelevant to my life. He wasn't irrelevant. He was so relevant that he placed a girl in that class, a new girl, who, when she heard my little protest, she began to pray for me. She was the one who invited me to church, where I found peace and rest in the presence and person of Jesus.